I'm not ready to go yet, okay? I'm not ready. You gotta wait. I got shit to do. I'm in the middle of something, all right? Just hold on.
Watch your mouth or don't come in here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, people, come on, we're adults here. You know what? What is the point?
Yeah, we're adults here. I got a fucking Burger King fucking thing on my head. We're all fucking adults here, guys. People, in my chat, 2 words. What are they? 2 words. Let me see the chat flood. Let me see the chat flood. 2 words. Okay, next caller. Please. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, which translate in American to dick and balls.
I got flip-flops. These are my flip-flops. Yeah, I really like my flip-flops because I can put them on. Because look, watch me put them on. I can put them on all by myself. Watch me put them on. Look, are you watching? Look, these are my flip-flops.
Thanksgiving Day. I remember it clearly. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was inserting myself in somebody else's fucking business as a cash grab, and you know.
This channel is harsh reality.
Karen Yak se jodió la sucia vida. Amen.
This is Jonathan Lee Riches. I have cheeseburgers. I'm gonna put cheese on them. I'm gonna make sure that I have my hamburgers because I'm a big boy now and I can make the hamburgers. My mom lets me use the stove now.
And I'm just like, wow, I like receipts, and they brought receipts. Like they had evidence to back up everything they said. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be another side to this, right? Like this can't. No, this is too fantastic.
Yeah, because you're not going to just jump to the conclusion that there's a conspiracy amongst cops to cover up a murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, cops and just like soccer moms and shit. Like that's what made it even crazier. Like,
yeah, get it, Betty. Yeah,
did you have a close relationship with your mom?
Get it, Betty.
Oh, of course, I still do.
Yeah.
My older sister was kind of sad. She was more of the prissy girl that like going
that is
and
the
getting her
best
done.
shit fucking
You know, shopping
ever.
for dresses with mommy. I was the tomboy that like playing with the people.
Shout out to Cherry for just being just easily the most faithful and loyal supporter that I've ever had. That someone could have that tenacity with loyalty. And I'm really blessed to have someone like Cherry be part of this channel and in my life. So it means a lot. And yes, I named him after Mr. T and Rocky. Say, woman. Say, woman. Say, woman. Since your old man ain't got no heart, why don't you come down to my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man. Oh my God, I'm so in love with this little dude. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I love you guys very, 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 very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Oh, say bye. Say bye. Oh, I love you too. Give me a kiss. Oh, I love you. Bye, guys. Woo! Good morning, people. Oh my goodness, it's good to see you guys. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. People. So today at 10 a.m., in about 40 minutes ish, there will be a motions hearing. And I'm really interested. I mean, not just because of the motions that they're going to be going over, and but today is going to be.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super 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 dad. Super dad.
Happy birthday, Cherry. Oh my goodness. And also okay, Buzzing for Truth, you win handle of the day. We're gonna get to see Hank at work today. I love that you posted that, because that was what I was about to say. I was about to say that this is going to be the first time that we. Oh, hey, what's up, Chris Loring? It's good to see you, buddy. This is the first time that we're going to see Hank Brennan actually in court in action, putting up any type of argument whatsoever in the Karen Reed case. So I'm really interested to see what old Whitey's lawyer is going to do here as a prosecutor in the biggest fucking sham of the decade. Unreal. And
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Atlanta, thank you so much. I think we got a super chat. Happy Wednesday from the UK. Hope you are well. I laughed at the fake abortion real driveway comment as well. You always make me laugh. God bless you, Will. God bless you too. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Good point, Sloopy. Imagine your name was Whitey. Okay. Yeah. So I'm pretty much like, I think I'm just over Sue O'Connell, dude. Like I think that's it. Like for sure. I know I've said that shit before, but then like she'll engage on Twitter and then I'll be like, oh, okay. Well, it feels like she's willing to, like, not only just, listen a little bit, but maybe, do a little, digging or whatever. And then and so, but somebody somebody kind of took the words out of my mouth. Like I got frustrated, but I'm learning to like be more patient, you know. Yeah, I know it does. I know, I know, Sleuthy. But I dude, listen, hold on. Let me see if I could pull this up real quick. Because that's I somebody had responded to her. And sorry, and then I pull up Twitter and then I get super distracted. I'm like, oh, what's that? So but hold on a second here. Oh God, dude. Plevin's such an idiot. All right, so let me pull up her replies here and I'll find it.
like ghosted Mr. Higgins is over it too, dude. Whoever ghosted Mr. Higgins is on Twitter, they're over it. Like, look at this shit. They're over it too, man. So and I guess she's talking about Enrique here, but ghosted Mr. Higgins, like she says here, you know, I don't have a side. And he reposts this where she says, I don't have a side. I call them as I see them. I know that's hard for some to process, but it is what it is. If you don't like it, it won't hurt my feelings if you use the block or mute button, right? Which is in response to something that I said, because she had called out Grant Smith Ellis, which gave me a little hope. It did. It gave me a little hope. And so, you know, I'm like, okay, fair enough. You know, so I tell her, you know, I can't speak for anyone else, but I'm not asking you to choose a side. I just simply wish you'd cover all the facts of the case, put forth all the information, and let the public make up their own mind. That's all I'm asking. And then she responds with this shit, right? I'm not a reporter. The same old I'm not a reporter bullshit, right? I'm not a reporter, even though I work for NBC 10 Boston. Our NBC Boston Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed trial team. There's a team. There's a team to tell you absolutely nothing. You got to love that shit, right? I love how she put that shit. That the Canton Confidential Karen Reed trial team who fucking does nothing, says nothing. Like a team. You need a team to do jack shit. That's great. They have provided hundreds of hours of coverage, hundreds of hours of nothing, much more than our colleagues at the other media, most of whom have my deep respect. She might as well just said our brothers. Judge our coverage by its whole, not just by what I do or don't do. That's exactly, and I love that. I love that she's saying that because that's exactly what we've been doing.
I think we got a super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
Melissa Besford, thank you so much. Hey, Will. Love your show. Never miss it. Tuning in from Australia. I love it. That's fantastic. Thank you. I love that you're watching all the way from down under. So she's like, judge us by what we do as a whole. That's what we're doing. I love that she's like, she can't be this, like, this is where it's not a question of not being self-aware. This is where she's irritatingly just dodging shit, right? Making excuses. You know, what she should do is just not even fucking respond, you know, like, because she's just gonna, it's just gonna get worse for her because it's already about to get worse here as we read this. Oh my goodness. Thanks for the laughs. Thank you for the Cash App. Oh God, I don't even know how to read this thing here. Brenda, thank you for the Cash App. Thanks for the laughs, she says. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. Very sweet. So here she is, and she's actually like, has Boston 10 covered the Karen Reed trial more? Have they put out more content on the Karen Reed trial? Yes, of course they have. Only because of that Canton Confidential show, right? Have they put out more information than Boston 25 or Boston 5. Yeah. Okay. But just because you put out more of nothing, it's still fucking nothing. You know what I mean, Sue? Like, okay. Like, I got a 0 from Boston 10 and I got a 0 from Boston 5, and then I got 5 zeros from you. Are those 5 zeros any more fucking valuable than the one fucking 0 I got from the other ones that you're sitting here acting like you're competing with here? I mean, is that what it is? Is it a race for quantity or quality? Because what you people are doing is not news. It's not. I mean, it's very, very funny. Like, and now that Trump's been elected and he's planning on getting rid of the entire mainstream media bullshit. Now, he's not getting rid of mainstream media. What he's doing is he's going to regulate the misinformation, which is fucking great. It's fantastic. I couldn't tell you exactly what he's doing. I watched a little thing that he put out there, and Joe Rogan had reposted it on Instagram, and I was like, "Woo! Look at Trump already getting to work. Not even in office yet. Can't even get Kamala to even pretend like she's working before before she even decides to throw her hat in the ring to run." So now that's as far as I'm going to go with that. But this gets even better here, right? This gets even better. So I respond, and I'm really respectful, right? I'm like, I respond, I say, I get all that, but you have to admit, since you claim to know everything going on around the case, that Boston 10 is leaving out quite a bit of information. She says, I never claimed that, right? I'm a political commentator and analyst who is given a special assignment. Can you cite a time I've declared myself to be all-knowing? Okay, so here she's indicating she doesn't even have an interest in the case. She was given a special assignment. Boston 10 was like, hey, you go deal with the Karen Reed bullshit. That's basically what happened. So she says, can you cite a time I've declared myself to be all-knowing? I said, I'll get back to you. Now, I'm glad I said that I'll get back to you, because I am 99.5% positive that I have asked Sue O'Connell on here if she understood, if she knew the details of the case, or the details surrounding the case, and she said yes. I'm 99.5% positive that took place at some point when I was interacting with her back and forth. And if somebody could get a screenshot of that, I would love it, because I have no fucking idea. If somebody wants to go through it, but I don't care that much about it to go through it myself and prove her wrong, but I'm pretty sure I did. And you know, that was my stomach. And then there's some people here that are commenting saying, just put the truth out, Sue. 13 and 34 murdered Officer O'Keefe. Don't skirt the issue. Earn your pay. Ask Josh Levy. Ask the new colonel. Don't ask the governor or MSP or CPD. Right. Or, well, ask them, but ask other people too. You know? Like, that's all they're saying here. And then this idiot, this lavish love lady, Sue, what's your take on the Vanity Fair sleepover? Odd, right? No, dude, it's an interview, stupid. And she writes, feature writing for all magazines is a specialty with all sorts of allowances. Writers travel with bands or move with politicians. It's disclosed in the article and part and parcel of the genre. I'm not allowed to bring donuts to court for the employees, so I wasn't getting a sleepover approved. Wow. Wow. Yeah, so I mean, she's telling you without telling you what side she's on here. You know what I mean? She's really condescending to everyone else. And some free Karen Reed people think I'm a backstabber, and some of the other side think I hold hands with Karen's mom. So which side is it? So here she is, and she's just laughing at the whole thing. See, here's the thing with Sue O'Connell is she wants to comment on Twitter about these things, and then she wants to act like she doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? She wants to act like she's above all of us. She wants to act like we're a bunch of fucking crazy idiots who are obsessed with this case, which fair enough, some of us are obsessed with the case, not a bunch of crazy idiots. Well, there are a couple of crazy idiots, but that's not us as a whole. See, again, this right here is a form of gaslighting. It's a form of gaslighting because she's trying to minimize the passion that people feel about this case. And she's nobody to do that. And it's irresponsible of her to do that on top of everything else. It's extremely irresponsible for her to do this. Because, right, exactly, Crafty Cow. I mean, you're a political commentator and a political analyst, right? Cool, Sue O'Connell, because you're quoted as saying this in writing, that you're a political commentator and analyst, right? But you're telling us everything here, right? You're telling us that you're a political analyst and commentator, but you don't care about things like corruption. You don't care about things like citizens having their rights taken away from them, even though you claim to be an advocate for rights. But the fact that Karen Reed's rights are being repeatedly violated, the fact that Turtle Boy's rights are being repeatedly violated, and in your face, like you live in Canton. You know what I mean? You take pride in living in Canton. So, but you don't seem to care about these things by posting these very sarcastic and very condescending gifs and engaging in these condescending posts with idiots who, especially the one idiot who everyone believes is the person who was on 2020 and was on there just to be on 2020. She brought nothing to the table, and she's on Twitter bringing nothing to the table. And she says, you're the one driving engagement. I don't get paid to be on social media. If you want to diminish my reach, stop engaging with my posts. Otherwise, you're amplifying me. See what I mean? Like, she's sitting here and she wants to say, hey, I don't give a shit about this case, but I'm going to keep talking about it. And she's doing it just to piss people off. So I would advise everyone to the clear evidence that Sue O'Connell does not give a fuck about this case or what's going on in her own town for that matter. Sue O'Connell does not care. Sue O'Connell is a troll. I mean, she's a fucking troll, because if she doesn't give a shit about the case and then tries to gaslight you as to being obsessive because you ask a commentator for a news conglomerate, what their opinion is based on a post that they put up themselves. Through her own volition, she decided to post something. She said herself, I don't get paid to be on social media. So NBC 10, she's throwing her name around there with her little badge of honor that she works for NBC 10 as she comments on things, right? Because it's in her name. I mean, it says right there, sue NBC Boston. So she wants to throw this shit around, but as soon as you call her out on it, and as soon as you say, hey, you're blatantly ignoring key details of this case. As soon as people call her out on this, then what does she do? She goes, nope, not a reporter. I'm a commentator. Sebastian Anon, thank you so much. More like a commentator. Am I right? Commentator. Am I right? A commentator. Like as in a tater tot. As in Sebastian Anon. I mean, it's not working, buddy. It just didn't pan out. It didn't pan out, my friend. Okay. Yeah, you get a double fail on that one. But thanks. Appreciate it. So yeah, so she wants to like, and then this dude chimes in, right? Because this dude starts saying what I'm thinking. Now, he went into some other detail here that I would have, that never crossed my mind. He doesn't speak for me as far as the pretty ugly jab that this person takes. But I'm going to read it anyway. It's still funny. At this point where she responds, I don't have a side. I call them as I see them. I know that's hard for some to process, but it is what it is. If you don't like it, it won't hurt my feelings if you use the block or mute button. And then this person is right on to it. Just a little bit of the most. Just a little better than the most. Right here says, okay, Sue, you have officially made it to the stupid side. So when citizens write letters, it basically, because if you remember, she was telling us to write letters to Michael Morrissey. Michael Morrissey, the Norfolk County DA, who's under federal investigation, the Norfolk County DA who is now who now there is a motion filed to have his phone records produced and entered into discovery in Karen Reed's case, thanks to the Betterow letters. So this is Sue O'Connell's logic here, and this is where I should have told her to go fuck herself. Is when she said that in the first place. But I engaged. And this is one example of where I exhaust the benefit of the doubt. People who think that I'm just a dick, you know, you saw this with Sean. You see this all the time. I exhaust the benefit of the doubt. Cherry will make her mind up about somebody in a second. This is what's funny. Cherry will make her mind up about somebody in fucking 30 seconds. And then if we are talking about something backstage, about something, then I'm like, why do you hate that person so much? Just be like, they're a fucking asshole. Well, why are they an asshole? Because they're a fucking dickhead. She's a twat. That's why. And I'm like, you know, but I have to go through this shit before I make that kind of decision to decide that somebody's a fucking twat. You know, I have to go through this shit. I have to go through the motions, as it were. But I have to go through this. I exhaust I not only do I give people the benefit of the doubt, I exhaust the benefit of the doubt. But this person's sick and tired of this shit, right? And this person's like, okay, so you have officially made it to the stupid side. So when citizens write letters, it basically goes nowhere. When a lawyer writes a letter, it will be put into legal motions. There's a huge difference. And for you to sit there and be like, Turtle Boy's lawyer is doing is stupid. Fuck you. Because yeah, this is a response to another. Yeah, she says here, let me just get to that. Well, why can't I read it there? All right, I guess not. All right, whatever. And then she argues. She says, okay, a letter, even one written, and again, condescending as fuck. Now, this person, just a little better than most, they didn't take the first swing here. Like, one could argue, I would even argue. I'm not going to dismiss it as one could argue. I'm going to go ahead and make that argument that Sue O'Connell fired shots first. She has been posting sarcastic and condescending remark after condescending remark, right? And then this person just got sick of it. This person just got a little bit less patient than I normally do on Twitter. And so she responds to this person who's already like, fuck you, She says, a letter, even one written by a lawyer, is not a legal motion. There's a huge difference between a letter and a motion. Like we're all a bunch of fucking morons who don't know that. Like we haven't been the ones going over the letters. Like we've been sitting here calling Bettero's letters motions this entire fucking time, right? Now, I admit that there's a lot of this legal stuff that's going to go right over my head. It always does, and then I understand a bit of it, more of it as it goes on. That's true. I don't have a formal education of any kind whatsoever. So that's just the way it is. But to sit here and say something like that tells us that you don't really know what's going on. And you're not putting together, or you're refusing to acknowledge it. And I think it's the latter. Now, and then Dag Nabbit chimes in and says, there's a difference between a letter and a motion. Yes, but not a huge difference. A letter is simply one stage in a legal process in which one side is seeking information or documents for the case from the other side. If the other side ignores the requests in the letter, a motion is almost sure to follow, with very little changes to the content of the letter. Exactly. See, we all understand this. We all understand that Bettero's letters are a professional courtesy. That's all they are. They're just filed because Bettero wants them on the record. Bettero wants the court to be aware of the fact that, hey, I extended a professional courtesy to my brother in the law and asked for these things before I filed this motion, which of course is sure to follow these letters. We're all aware of this. We know these aren't motions. But we also know that Bettero is not going to make these claims without being able to prove them. I mean, that would just be misconduct, wouldn't it? And then it goes on to say a letter is a formal request in a legal proceeding in which the recipient can simply choose to comply or not. A motion is a demand in which the judge will decide and the parties must comply with the decision. That's really the only difference. And it's interesting that this would come from a rabid pink shirt wearing psychopath instead of the actual and it's to explain it to a news commentator, an analyst, right? It's interesting that this has to be explained to somebody who does this shit for a living. And then just a little bit out of the most comes back in and says, but it turns into one like Karen's attorney just did, like Aiden's attorneys will, to be condescending is touched move. Go. Okay, now this is where it gets a little nasty, but it's kind of funny. Go scissor Mora and leave the regular people alone. Referring to Maura Healey. And no, you're not a commentator. You're a piece of shit whose point of view is dying, just like your mainstream media bosses. Bye-bye. I mean, that's a little bit more colorful than I would have put it, if I'm being totally honest. That's a little bit more colorful than I would have put it. But, I mean, this is... it seems like she only comments on things that seem to be convenient for her. And what she's doing is she's commenting about something, showing that she's passionate enough to actually comment on it, right? On social media, on Twitter. But also showing at the same time that she doesn't care enough to actually look deeply into it. She's not passionate enough to do that. She's passionate about taking a side. She's not passionate about getting to the truth. She's passionate about spinning a narrative from one side. Her actions absolutely dictate this. So, Sue O'Connell, you suck. And I'm just going to keep telling her that, until she blocks me on Twitter. I'm not breaking first, okay, Sue O'Connell? I'm not going to block you. You're going to have to block me for us to sever this relationship. Tara, thank you so much for the Venmo. Oh, okay. Thank you. Now I see who that is. Thank you, Will. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Donkey's Noggin, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I mean, so you're the news anchor, dude. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna keep calling you out every time you comment on this shit. I'm gonna be a gnat flying in your face constantly. Donkey Noggin, thank you so much. I think we have a super twat.
I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let me get over here and no. Like, so who's streaming this thing? Because I don't have that up yet. Joe Flip Ahead, what's up? So until we get into that, like until this hearing starts, Bobby Swain, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I appreciate it. Okay, that's weird. Oh, it's Zoom? Why is it Zoom? That's weird. Okay, we'll do that then. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm logging into the to the Zoom. And thank you, Cherry. Appreciate it. Bang, ding, bang, ba-dum, dum, ding, dum. All right. Yeah. So they haven't started it yet. Hey, Corruption, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, and CBS Boston. Okay. So that's Boston 5, right? Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, it's going to be better to watch it there. We'll have both pulled up, so if it's better to watch from Zoom, then we will, but I don't see how it would be. What's up, JFK? Good to see you, buddy. But yeah, so yesterday was the and a big shout out to Turtle Boy Aiden for joining me yesterday for that. Because that shit was fucking insane. I'm really glad he was up here for that because that shit was insane. I couldn't. I'm still trying to process that what happened there. So as usual, Tom is outside of the courthouse for and this time it's for Jill Daniels and it's for Jill Daniels and it's for Jim Ferris when they assaulted Turtle Boy, like in the same incident, separate, like they didn't even coordinate to do it. It was just Turtle Boy just happened to be standing there, and then Jim Ferris assaulted him, and then later on she pulls up, jumps out of the car like a bat out of hell, and then assaults Turtle Boy. So they have court for those charges yesterday, and I guess they're being tried together. And as they're walking in, Jill Daniels is walking to the courtroom with her attorney, and her attorney turns to Tom and goes, "Fuck you." Her attorney did that shit. And then realizes that he lost his temper and says something like, you're breaking the law or something like that. And Tom's response is like, what's breaking the law? The good morning or fuck you? Because Tom just said good morning to him. And the guy goes, fuck you. Then later on, Tom is just sitting there and he's running a stream with Boston Mike on their channel. And they're having a nice little conversation. And then Jim Ferris just checks Tom from behind like a fucking bully in middle school, dude. Like if Tom had books in his hands, he would have dropped them. You know what I mean? But instead, like it knocked his coffee into his lip. Like, why are you picking on Tom, dude? You've got to be just an all around horrible fucking cunt to pick on Tom. Jim Ferris is an all around horrible fucking cunt. Jesus. So crazy, dude. Now let me find. Now Tom and Mike's channel is Seeking Justice. So I want to see what's going on outside the courthouse real quick.
All right, it's 10 o'clock, right? So we're getting close, guys.
Yeah, we got to join up. Our browser was timed out. We got to retry. I can't.
Sticking that burial. Look at you, handsome. Yeah, you. Oh God. So it's me.
Now,
Claire, if you is it muted? No, you're not muted. Oh fuck! Shoot! Crap!
now they're logged on.
Kids are in school, or
Okay.
they should be, so you should be good.
Hey Claire, I sent you a message that you used my pillow to sit on in the courthouse. I would really appreciate if you would sign that and ship it back to me. Thank you.
Oh my God.
What?
Like seriously, I could maybe auction it.
Yeah, good
I
idea.
have a
Good
lot of
idea.
things going on in my head right now about that comment, and I'll just keep it to myself.
Okay. Well, that was a little a little awkward. But no, that's probably not gonna happen unless she can catch me there. But I'll sign it if I happen to be there. Sure. I mean, whatever. At this point, I'm just like, I don't, I'm not gonna question these things anymore. I'm just gonna fucking I'm not even gonna question these things anymore. It's fine. It's whatever. She wants me to sign her pillow, I'll sign her fucking pillow.
The parties are in there. Yeah, that is weird.
Even the blue shirts.
Yeah.
Before they went in. Why isn't Aiden in? Like,
Why is there a phone number on the screen?
couldn't he, like,
Oh, that's Zoom.
think that at least Aiden could go in as a request.
All right, I got it up. Hopefully it stays. They're muted right now, Mike, so we're good. You're muted too.
I'll mute. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
So hopefully it stays.
All right, man. Thank you. Will we see like someone walk into the courtroom once they unmuted over there? Is that what'll happen? Yeah. We'll see the fan.
I personally hope that we see the fan. The fan is like my favorite.
Oh, I miss it. I miss it. Miss the fan. Yeah.
I miss the fan. Hi, Eve.
Oh, Eve is in the chat. All right, man.
Totally
Just a quick reminder, follow Brian Hill Photography, and he has a lot of new merch.
Yeah, so I have all this stuff pulled up in my background here, folks. Just so you know. And Boston 5 has not gone live yet, but they have one waiting here. And I have the Zoom pulled up in the background as well. And Debbie, thank you so much for the Venmo. Debbie says, thank you for the laughs. You have the best giggle ever for the entertaining and informative podcast and for always calling out the losers. We love you. Love you too, Debbie. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The stinky pillow auction. Dude, I mean, listen. I sat on that thing all day, bro. Okay? All fucking day. All right? All day. My ass was fucking just all over that thing, dude. All day, bro. But all right, man, I'll sign it. Whatever. I mean, I kind of signed it like 4 times, you know? I'm just kidding. I was sitting next to Karen's mom. There's no way I was doing that. Like I wouldn't even smoke cigarettes that day, so I wouldn't smell like cigarettes. So yeah, this is where I wish Boston 10 would fucking go live. Or Boston 5, I mean. Let me check yeah, I feel like Boston 10 just said fuck it. They don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah, it still hasn't started yet. What's up, Scott McGinnis? Yeah, I guess Boston Mike and Tom just said fuck it, and they're just leaving the thing up, waiting for it to start. Well, I'm not doing that. All right, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm not going to stream I checked Boston 25. I'm not going to stream another YouTuber covering it. But I guess I could just go straight to the website. That I can do. Let me go back to that's not, the fuck.
Conversations with his daughter. They plan to call him as a witness at the next trial. Reed, hi, Ray, thank you. Well, Karen Reed is due back in court this morning as her lawyers push back on a request for records from Karen's father. Norfolk DA's office wants calls and texts from Bill Reed around the time of John O'Keefe's death in 2022. Prosecutors allege Mr. Reed has made conflicting statements about conversations with his daughter. They plan to call him as a witness at the next trial. Reed's lawyers call the request an invasion of privacy. The defense says prosecutors already have records of the calls from Karen's phone.
All right. So
on their teeth.
why is there no
Many people who spoke with Boston 25 say homelessness is a problem in the city, and they say state and federal assistance is needed in the form of money and resources.
okay live
All right,
video,
Ray, thank
right?
you. Well, Karen Reed is due back in court this
See, that's
morning
the
as
same
her lawyers
thing.
push back
It's not live.
on a request for records from Karen's father.
So it's not
Norfolk
on.
DA's office wants calls and texts from Bill Reed around the time of John O'Keefe's death.
His father. This is video.
Here are all the
entering
live
courthouse
streams
just
right
about
here.
30 minutes ago. You can see
Okay.
she's surrounded by a crowd of people, including her supporters.
Okay, this is live.
Barricades, they are also back up like they were for a trial over the summer. Today's hearing will focus on the DA's office request for calls and texts from Bill Reed around the time of John O'Keefe's death back in 2022. Prosecutors allege Mr. Reed has made conflicting statements about conversations with his daughter. They plan to call him as a witness at the next trial. Reed's lawyers
Listen,
called the request an invasion of his
the next
privacy.
person that brings up Young
Defense says
Jerks having it
prosecutors
on is
already
getting
have
hidden.
records of the calls from Karen's phone.
Like, I'm not streaming Young Jerks' stream, dude.
Consumer prices
If he
rose
has it
slightly in October.
and I can't
The
get it,
annual rate is now
then go over there.
2.6%.
It's cool. I'm not going to
The
be mad at
increase is the
nobody.
first after
But
a
I
couple
am
of
not
years of
streaming
steady
Mike Crawford's
declines.
stream.
Food and shelter both saw some of the biggest increases. The price of energy,
Thank
including
you, Liz
gas
Reed.
and
No,
oil,
they won't
both remained
intimidate
about
Bill.
5% less than a year ago. The Fed has cut interest rates twice in the past
Okay.
3 months. It's expected that they'll slow those cuts if inflation shows signs of returning.
Okay, shut up. Nope.
Trump later this morning.
It's a
Oh my
traditional
God,
meeting
bro.
following elections, but it didn't happen in 2020.
Yeah, that's weather. All right. All right. So we're just going to go with the Zoom for now until something else pops up. So there's no sound. Thank you, Microdots. I appreciate it. All right. Here we go, folks. We got it. Microdots for the win, y'all. Thanks, Microdots. So there's Turtle Boy. He's inside the courtroom with Meredith, sitting behind Bill. And there's this guy. Fucking Paul O'Keefe. So I'm pretty sure that's the same courtroom that Turtle Boy's last hearing was in. Like it looks exactly the same. So I'm pretty sure that's the same courtroom that Turtle Boy's last hearing was in. And you see Bill, see Nathan, see Karen's mom. Yeah, that's the main courtroom. See, Karen looks ready for business. And I'm dying to see what kind of shit Brennan is going to try to pull here. And I'm dying to see what his dynamic with Bev is going to be like. Now there's a delay, so it's starting. There's a delay here because it's starting.
All persons have any business before the Honorable Beverly Building.
You are unmuted.
And for the County of Norfolk. God needed, if your attendance, you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now open. You may be seated.
22117, Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Can I have the Commonwealth identify themselves for the record?
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Hank Brennan. I've been appointed as a special prosecutor for the Commonwealth. Along with me is attorney Laura McLaughlin to my left.
Good morning, Mr. McLaughlin.
And attorney Adam Lally.
Good morning, Mr.
morning.
Brennan. Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. McLaughlin.
For the defense?
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson on behalf of the
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Good morning, Your Honor. Elizabeth Little, also on behalf of the
Good morning, Ms. Whittle.
Good morning, Your Honor. David Yannetti for Karen Reed.
Good
Hell
morning,
yeah.
Mr. Yannetti. Good morning, Ms. Reed. All right, so we have a series of motions here.
Good morning, Ms.
Expect they may
Reed.
be here a while this morning. It makes sense to me to start with the Rule 17 motions. So the first Rule 17 motion I have is the Commonwealth's motion for records from Verizon. But I do have a question for you, Mr. Brennan. Have the third-party record holders been served in all of these Commonwealth motions pursuant to Rule 17?
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand the court might have a preference that I remove from the podium. Would you like me to answer?
It's wherever you're comfortable, as long as we can hear you.
Your Honor, I filed a series of Rule 17 motions, as I'm sure you're aware. I have not notified any of the third-party holders. I did not want to be presumptuous, seeing that I have not met the court and didn't know what the schedule would be for the Rule 17s.
Oh,
So I have filed these just to give everybody as much notice as possible. And my intention was to ask the court if we could set a date so that we could have these motions heard and hear the defendant's objections.
Okay. All right, so I misunderstood. I thought they were on for the Rule 17 motions today. All right, so the record holders do need to be heard. I was wondering why I did not hear from any of the parties other than I have the defendant's objection to Mr. Reed's records, but all right, so we'll get a date.
Joe,
and the
flip
date
ahead. What
should
do you
be
mean his
sooner
voice
rather
sucks?
than
His voice
later
sounds fine to me.
get
I don't
notice out
understand
to
what you're
all
talking about.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll note that we did file 2 additional Rule 17s last night. I don't know if they've been docketed.
They have been docketed. I got them, and that's why I was wondering whether the record holders had in fact been notified. So, okay, so scheduling we'll do at the end of the hearing. Then I think what we'll start with after these Rule 17s that we'll put on pause, it's paper number 48. It's the defendant's motion for relief from the order to impound sidebar conferences. And before we begin that, is there an opposition to that from the Commonwealth?
In part.
Okay. All right. Have you spoken with Mr. Yannetti about what part that is?
I've spoken to all the attorneys numerous times. I think we're very clear what each other's position is.
Okay. All right, why don't you,
We're very
Mr.
clear
Yannetti, do you want to be
to
heard
each
by
other's
starting with the
positions.
whole motion or what?
I think we can short circuit this, Your Honor. Our suggestion, I think it's a joint suggestion to the court, is that the sidebar conferences be unsealed solely for counsel at this point. Mr. Brennan's at somewhat of a handicap because unlike the defense team, he was not present at sidebar. He does not know what the conferences were about. And in fairness to the Commonwealth, we've agreed that it just be released to us, and then Mr. Brennan can decide if he has a further position regarding unsealing it more than that.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Have you spoken with?
Okay, so we won't
Ms.
get to
King
see those
about how long it will
sidebar
take to get these transcripts?
My co-counsel has spoken to her only.
Which co-counsel?
Mr. Jackson.
All right. What do you have to say about that? How quickly can she get them?
She works extremely expeditiously, but she has not started them, to my understanding. There's 3 reporters who probably would split the work.
Right.
And she said that she could get started as soon as there was a court order suggesting that she do so. I would imagine, given what we've gotten so far, we're talking a couple of weeks rather than a month or 2. I think we could probably get something within a few weeks.
Okay.
2 to 3, I would guess, just based on my experience with Ms. King.
All right. Even though it's just for counsel, do you intend to have, are you asking me to unseal the sidebar conferences with the jurors?
Just for counsel, yes. I would imagine that when we get to the second stage of this, those would be in a different category from the legal rulings at sidebar unrelated to jurors.
All right. All right. Thank you.
If I could be heard briefly.
Sure.
Thank you. Regarding the non-juror information, I'm in full agreement with the defense. I think it's prudent to, if the court would consider unimpounding the documents, I can review them. If I have
Well,
any,
you can review unimpounded documents. Counsel can review impounded documents.
then I'll begin that task. And if there's any concerns, I'll note them. If not, then I would have no concern about releasing them outside a protective order. The juror information stands in a different posture, in my perspective. I think that should remain impounded at this point. There's a pending appeal before the SJC based on the requests of the defense. If they are successful.
Yeah, I still think the jurors should be
on those jurors.
anonymous.
See a need for juror information to be unimpounded at this point.
Right, I don't
All
see
the other
that either.
information, I don't have the same concern.
I agree with him.
All right. Thank you. All right. The next motion. So defendant's motion for discovery of communications in the possession, custody, and control of the Commonwealth. Who's going to argue that?
Woo!
I will, Your Honor. I would say at
I
the
love
outset that in speaking with Mr. Brennan, he had expressed a preference to be able to respond potentially in writing. So we were in agreement, subject to the court's approval, if we're going to get another date for the Rule 17 motions, to have this motion heard at that time. But I'm prepared now if the court prefers me to.
No, I'll give you the opportunity. How much time do you need to respond in writing, Mr. Brennan?
I can respond by next week.
Okay.
Really, I'm accommodating the defense. I have a very broad perspective on Rule 14 statements. Our office has made a concerted effort to provide everything that's not only discoverable under the rule, but from my perspective, a broader perspective. I want to make sure I err on the side of caution and they get every statement they're entitled to.
You're lying.
So we're in the process of
And you're a
accumulating
piece of shit.
all potential statements of witnesses which they're entitled to, and I'm going to provide them to them. I've already provided a number of statements that I frankly believe are outside Rule 14 parameters, and I'll continue to do that throughout this case.
Okay.
And so my response in writing really is to accommodate the request and then give an answer in a production of what I have. That's going to take me probably 10 days to put everything together, to adequately review it, and then to provide a package to the defense. And so I think that if I have 10 days, I might be able to accommodate the request without any need for litigation. If they decide to pursue further effort, then I can respond.
Okay.
Clever.
All right.
What are you doing?
So why don't we give you? So we'll give you until the 27th, just after or just before the Thanksgiving break.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Does that work for you, Ms. Giannetti?
Certainly does.
All right. So let's talk about the Commonwealth's notice of scheduling, reassembly and testing of the defendant's Lexus telematics system.
All right, so they're going to give him
Yes.
10 days, I think, to write a written
Matter of
response
background,
to the
I
motion
think the court is likely aware.
for Michael
the Commonwealth
Morrissey's
tested information on data chips that were found in
communications.
different, modules that were inside the defendant's Lexus. Inevitably, at trial, the court is likely aware that there's information taken from one of the systems that was provided, and it showed information such as key cycles and different speeds. And I understand that was a exhibit at trial. There were two different search warrants by the government. One search warrant was for the car that included both a telestream and a telematics module, which is like a lunchbox with computer panels in them. And then in 2023, there was a second search warrant for the infotainment system, which is what was produced at trial. I hired an independent expert, and in the independent expert of the information, what he realized is that the information taken from the informatics manual and the information taken from the telestream manual had some irregularities. What he realized is that all of that data was unreadable. And so initially he thought that the data was not fully downloaded or compiled. He checked and he believed that gigabits were gigabytes and that there was a discrepancy. And the reason he thought this is because there was very obvious information missing from that procedure. There was information including navigation information, information regarding phones that were plugged into the radio, travel logs, things that are particularly relevant and material in this case, information that is going to be extraordinarily inculpatory or exculpatory in this case. And so after he realized his oversight on the
so
gigabit,
all this information
gigabyte,
just magically
gigabit,
appeared.
he filed a
I
supplemental
love it.
report. And what we learned is not only was the chips that were taken from the telematics and infotainment systems and downloaded were read with the wrong reader. So that's why the information was not available. Also in the the infotainment system, there were actually 3 boards, not 1. Only 1 was taken out. So there is a plethora of information on these chips that has not been downloaded that's relevant to this case. And so we provided notice to the defense that our intention is that we are going to test this information that we have in our control and that we have a search warrant for. And my effort was to give them notice so they could have an available expert. So my purpose really was not to ask for the defense's permission, rather it was to notice them, this is what we were going to do. You can see from my motion, I asked to do it within 14 days. Having recently arrived at the case, it was important for me to prioritize Rule 17 motions and new experts so that they could have adequate notice. The defense asked for today's date and wanted more time, and when I considered it, I thought that was reasonable. I think they were entitled to have an expert and consider what we are doing, even though I don't believe they have standing to prevent it. And so that's why I agreed to this date. Inevitably, we know that this information will
Right.
be on these chips.
Exactly.
And so
Sleepy.
we know there are 2 boards on the system that weren't tested, and then the other chips that were tested that came back with unreadable information with the proper computer programs, they call them programmers, we will get viable information from both of them. And so I've spoken to the defense. I know they've hired an expert. I know they've filed a motion contesting our position. I'm not going to speak for what their position is today, but I would say two things. One, the defense in their motion asks to have their expert be able to intervene. We're not agreeable to that. They can watch and comment and criticize as much as they'd want, but we're entitled to the download. Notably, when the first download was done, the Commonwealth deferred to the defense expert to do the download. That is not my position. I don't defer that responsibility. But it was the defense expert that overlooked the proper reader that was needed for the chips that were tested. And it was
You're a
the
little
expert
cunt.
that overlooked the fact that there was 3 panels in the system, not 2. And our expert was astute enough to find those oversights. And that's why we now have an independent expert that is going to do this. I know experts differ. They're not frick or frack. They all have different opinions. But we've attached all of the protocol, what we intend on doing. And the reason I brought it before the court is I wanted to expedite this matter. It's important, and it does.
I thought we were going to have that hearing within 14 days when we first got the motion. And then Mr. McDermott told me that the defense was looking for more time, so we gave this. But we're far
this
into
is all misdirection.
The case is scheduled currently for January 27th. Sounds like you have a lot to do before then, but as of right now, it's still January 27th. So all of these things, the Rule 17 motions, all of these things need to be done as soon as possible. So
I understand. And if I can just add, it might help in your consideration of a later motion. The reason why this is urgent to me to have this as soon as possible is because I also have noticed and hired an accident reconstruction expert.
Oh, that must be exhausting.
The reconstruction expert will necessarily rely upon the information that is gleaned from this testing.
how long is this testing going to take?
It's a 3-day testing. It will take within a week to read it. And the sooner we have it, the sooner we can have our reconstruction expert engage in any type of task that we want them to. But they necessarily are in a holding pattern now. And that is my sense of urgency for this to be developed and done.
Who's arguing this for the defense? Okay, I'll hear you, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll start by saying
You're gonna be fair. Here it is.
we don't have an objection to the retesting of the telematics or the infotainment center, our system data. The problem that we have, our issue sort of dovetails into what Mr. Brennan was suggesting about what was done the first time. He just suggested that his new expert, Mr. Shannon Burgess, was astute enough to find something that Maggie Gaffney didn't find. Well, to bring the court completely up to speed, when the initial testing was done, the Commonwealth's expert did not know how to do a chip off, physically did not know how to do it, with Joe Paul. He turned to Maggie Gaffney, our expert, who did know how to do it. She's a former MSP officer and extremely facile in this world.
And you have a different expert now. You're not using her now?
Well, we may use her, but we have an additional expert who specifically works, Mr. DeSorga, specifically works in chip offs and chip ons. That physical procedure of moving chips on and off of boards. It's a very technical procedure. It's a very skilled procedure. He knows how to do it.
All referred to the defense's expert.
It's got an extremely long resume. Having done this kind of work,
I read it.
We're bringing him up to speed in order to sort of engage it in some oversight and some observation. I don't have a principled objection to doing the retesting. What I have a problem with is that their new expert, Mr. Burgess, right at the beginning, fundamentally misunderstood the data set on the 3 chips, the 2-micron chips and the expansion chip that he looked at, didn't understand the difference between megabytes and megabits, gigabytes and gigabits, and that gave us pause. If he didn't understand that, which is at the foundation of reading the data, we're concerned that some of the data could be destroyed in whatever process he engages in. Like I said, we don't have a principled objection to the work that's going to be done. We simply want to make sure that nothing is destroyed in doing that work. It's not, and I would take a little issue with something Mr. Brennan said, it's not that the data set is missing information. We don't know that it's missing information. Berla has now updated software that we believe, I think both sides believe could be beneficial in culling or teasing out that data set from those chips that didn't exist when Ms. Gaffney did her work previously. She put it on a reader, it was unreadable. It doesn't mean that the data is missing. It means that it's unreadable. As a matter of fact, one of the things that our expert would do and would suggest is that a process called a checksum be done. I'm going to use some made up numbers, but let's say there's 5,123 bits or bytes on a particular chip. You can do a checksum and determine that there's 5,123 bits and bytes read now. That means down to the bit or the byte, nothing has been altered, nothing's been changed, and we know that we're dealing with the exact same data set. That checksum would be the first process in doing the additional reading. Then they can go back and use the additional Burla software to see if the data set could be read. After that's done, then my understanding is there would need to be a chip on. They'd need to resolder those specific chips, the 2-micron chips and the expansion chip, back onto the motherboard, install the motherboard back into the truck, and then turn the truck on. That's the process that I understand. My only request is that our expert obviously, given his expertise and his knowledge of this information, he should be there to observe. And the only caveat to that is if he makes a determination, working with Mr. Burgess or observing Mr. Burgess.
I love this shit.
That what's about to happen is destructive to the data on the chips, we would ask gently, and I don't think this is much of an ask, that he be allowed to interpose his objection to moving forward, contact both counsel, both parties, and if need be, present his objections either to us to resolve it or to the court for intervention. That's all. I want the work done, but I want to make sure that
He wants it supervised. He wants to make sure they don't do any dirty shit with it.
That are read is never destroyed or in peril of being destroyed. That's all.
All right. Any response, Mr. Brennan?
The defense expert would not be working with Mr. Burgess. He'd be observing Mr. Burgess. The defense expert has no active role in this testing. There is no inherent risk that Mr. Burgess is going to destroy something unnecessarily. This is
bullshit.
Destructive testing, just as it was the first time. Fortunately, the information was not destroyed the first time, so we can access it again, but it's potentially destructive testing. The defense is not entitled to veto power during the process. That will delay things. It has no role and no purpose in it. And so inevitably, Mr. Burgess is well qualified. Mr. Burgess is competent, and he is going to test these chips and provide the information to the defense. They'll get an exact copy. The idea of checksum, there's no mystery to these words. There's a protocol that's followed where they use the old software that was ineffective, and they test to make sure it's the same amount of data that's unreadable. And after they confirm that nothing has been moved or destroyed or tampered with, then they bring in the right programs, the right software, and they'll retest it properly. They'll provide the information that will be available to both us and the defense.
Trace the signal. So if I act on this motion quickly, because there isn't a basic objection to it being retested, when can they begin, Mr. Brennan?
Your Honor, I spoke to my expert this morning, and I asked him for a schedule when he could test. I told him I'd like it as soon as possible. We didn't finish the conversation. What he told me is December 2nd or 3rd. I told him that would be inadequate. That's too far out. I want it done before Thanksgiving because time is of the essence. And I think it really develops everything else that will happen in this case as far as other experts. So I need to resume my conversation with my expert, encourage him, and insist that we make some changes in schedule. So I can't give an exact date because that conversation wasn't what I was expecting, but I don't think we can tolerate waiting that long.
Okay. All right, this one I will act on very quickly. All right, so I think that just leaves us with the motion to continue. I know it's a joint motion, but I need to hear from both sides as to why I should do that. Mr. Brennan?
Can I begin?
Yes.
He's
And
better
the
than
request
Lally.
is for an April 1st date. You're not looking to go any further than that, correct?
We are not. We are not. Your Honor, the Commonwealth has been on this case for some time, and I am newer to the case. I'm not looking for a personal accommodation, but I think the idea of a motion to continue in our joint request is in the interest not only of justice, but I think inevitably, I truly believe it's going to have a more efficient and effective trial. A part of my perspective is to move as quickly as I can, and that's why I've started with the Rule 17 motions. I've also tried to retain as many experts as quickly as possible. The experts will need to do whatever testing they're going to have and conduct, and then I need to provide the reports to the defense. The defense then may have counter experts in reciprocal discovery that I want well in advance of trial. When I first entered the case, I was committed to January 27th, and I still am. If the court decides that's more appropriate, I will be ready on January 27th. However, I realized when I was trying to move and facilitate the testing of these ships in 2 weeks, and the government, the defense wanted more time, and I appreciated that their request was reasonable. I began to understand that it is going to take a little bit more time than I wanted to have the experts notice, the reports done, and then the defense have time to manage whatever the information is. I do not want to get to a position where we're turning over expert testimony, and they're retaining experts to counter that testimony, and then to reciprocate in discovery where days, weeks, are in the midst of trial. I want to avoid unfairness to the defense at all costs, but I also want to avoid any unfairness for the prosecution, and that includes reciprocal discovery. And certainly, the reciprocal discovery cannot happen until I've provided everything that I intend on using. I have tried to exercise extraordinary diligence in this case. In addition to Rule 17s, and in addition to retaining experts, we have brought on my full-time paralegal, and we are going through the entire discovery. And I know it's already been provided, but it wasn't Bates numbers, which I'm accustomed to. And we are re-indexing all the discovery and re-providing it, even though I expect most or all of it has been provided. And I'm doing that out of an abundance of caution, so I can be confident that the defense has every document I have. That will resolve or prevent any delays at trial of inadvertent late disclosure or any concern or confusion about documents that have been provided. I also, with the office, have diligently moved to obtain all Rule 14 statements so that we can get the information to the defense as soon as possible. I've employed a practice when I'm retaining experts. I don't wait until we've done testing or reports. I immediately give the CVs to the defense so they can get started on investigating and looking into the experts. So nothing is held back when I receive it. If I receive any information that is discoverable or frankly not discoverable, I provide it to them. You can see in my discovery notices when I get emails from strangers with theories that I don't even agree to, that I don't know, I don't evaluate it, I give it to the defense. And so we're doing all of this to try to be as efficient as possible to avoid delays at the time of trial. And it will allow me, when I evaluate this case, which I'm still in the process of doing, of reducing the witness list substantially. And so although it does delay the case, if you allow this motion, I think it will make for a
Reducing
shorter,
the
more
witness
effective, efficient
list.
trial, and I think it will be importantly more fair to the parties involved. And that's why I asked you to consider that continuance. I do not expect I would come before you and ask for another continuance. If something cannot get done in time with an expert of my choosing or that I would like, I appreciate I won't be able to use that expert. And so I think the joint request is something that is legitimate. I think it's well thought, and I leave it to Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Who's going to argue this for the defendant?
I will, Your Honor. I'm not going to belabor the point. I mean, not surprisingly, in a joint motion, I agree with the argument made by Mr. Brennan. You've heard that there will be new Commonwealth experts. There are no reports yet. There have been no disclosures. No forensic testing has yet taken place. And the time frame, according to the motion, is somewhat unclear at this point. Clearly, once testing is complete, disclosures are made, we would have the right to consult with our experts and potentially employ additional experts depending on what the testing.
Have you been working on that, though, in anticipation?
We have,
Okay.
yes. Mr. Brennan has promised to index all discovery so that both sides can be satisfied that full disclosures have been made. I know he's been working diligently on that. He needs a little bit more time to take care of that. I would remind the court that during the last trial, we were still receiving reports and some discoverable material as trial was ongoing, sometimes deep into a trial. And we're really trying to avoid that this time. It's really not fair to Ms. Reed that discovery is not complete well in advance of trial so that we can assimilate and incorporate that discovery into what would now be a retrial. And our position is, Your Honor, there's simply not enough time between now and January 27th to get all of that done and properly prepare for trial. And I would just close by saying that both sides in the court have an interest in having this matter proceed to trial expeditiously. But in our view, and I would expect in the court's view, the most important consideration here is Ms. Reed's right to a fair trial. And in light of what's outstanding and what needs to be done, we believe she would not be able to receive a fair trial at the end of January. We're essentially asking for a 2-month delay, which I believe is reasonable in light of what we've already discussed. We do not anticipate any further continuance requests, just like Mr. Brennan said. So we'd ask the court to allow this motion.
All right. What do you anticipate we need to do for in-court hearings? You mentioned in your motion, in the joint motion, a Daubert hearing. How many dates are we talking about? We already need a new date now for Rule 14, for the Rule 17 motions that we have. So we need to start moving forward with all of this. Is there going to be a Daubert hearing, and who is the witness that you anticipate a Daubert hearing on? I'd like to get that on our schedule now.
We have not yet drafted the motion, but I've given it much thought. The government at trial called an expert regarding a dog bite. Forgive me, I haven't watched all of the trial.
No, that's fine. All right.
That expert, I did not believe, followed the proper methodology or had the expertise to make.
All right. Does the defense intend to call Dr. I've forgotten her name.
Dr. Russell.
Dr. Russell, do you intend to call her again?
I expect that she will be able
Of course.
All right, so why don't we set a
She's
Daubert
absolutely
hearing
qualified.
sometime in
What is this guy
December?
talking about?
Does that give you enough time, Mr. Brennan?
She wrote the book on police
So why
dog
don't we
bites.
set a Daubert hearing?
Literally.
I know you'll have to fly her in, but why don't we get a date now in December for that?
Does the court anticipate that being a different day than the date we're going to set for the Rule 17?
Rule
motion?
17 we're doing as soon as possible. We'll do before that date.
Understood.
So we're going to need. Maybe we can have it filed.
So, Mr. McDermott.
May I approach Mr. Brennan for a minute?
Sure. Jim, can you pull up Jimmy? How was it's December 10th? I think we moved both our trials yesterday.
Would the 13th of December be available for a Daubert hearing? It's a Friday.
Possibly. I think we just put something else on this morning that would be time consuming.
I could also do the 12th if Mr. Brennan's available and in my co-counsel.
I was looking at the 10th, but Jim, could you look at the 13th?
Yeah, this is the 10th.
The 10th work for both of you. The government's available on the 10th.
So I have you cannot do the 10th, okay.
Your Honor, just to be completely candid, I have nothing on the 10th. I've got to fly out on the 11th, and I've got an all-day hearing on the 11th. So I'm sorry, I'm reversing that on the 9th. I didn't fly out on the 9th. And I've got an all-day hearing on the 9th back in California, so I can't fly that day. So
Well, court ends at what time?
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
You could take, a lot of people take a red eye, right? Can you come out?
Wow.
I do every time.
Wow.
You can't fly out on the 9th, the evening of the 9th?
There's no way. I can't take a flight on the 9th.
What about the 16th? It's a Monday. Is that?
We're fully booked that Monday and Tuesday.
Bev is an asshole,
Stick
dude.
on the 13th. Are we still on the 13th?
Sure, if it's available. Jim, we just put Gaston on for that day. Yep, we have a full competency hearing, and we also do on Gaston.
You're a magnificent cunt.
Let me just look at that. Did you say the 12th?
The 12th works.
I can do the 12th.
I can do the 12th.
We'll accommodate, yes.
All right, so the Darbert hearing will be December 12th.
That'd be at 9 o'clock, Your Honor.
Yes. All right.
And those motions should be filed on the 27th.
We'll get a date on that in just a minute.
I love this chat so much. You guys are great.
When are you available for the Rule 17 motions? How about November 26th?
Nobody gives a shit what Dr. Russell's shit is, what she's got going on.
Where?
In Woburn District Court. To the extent that the court would give me a protective order, I can do that.
Or tell them that you have a trial here, and if I need to speak to anybody, I will.
Okay, appreciate that.
We're not a trial here, but this motion hearing.
Okay.
I'd like to do it as soon as possible to get those out, get that moving.
Thank you.
So November 26th, Jim, can we do that in the morning?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm told that Mr. Jackson cannot make the 26th.
For the Rule 17 motions, do you need to be here in person?
If I could have 10 seconds.
Your Honor, in this moment, if I could just alert the court that there is one additional Rule 17 I'll have filed by Friday. It is similar to a number of.
File it and send notice immediately of the date.
Yeah, Bev's in a bad mood. Of course she's
Do I
cranky.
send notice on behalf of the Commonwealth, or does the clerk's office send it?
Mr. Lally can inform you on the process, but
Thank you very
you
much.
send it right out.
We will. Thank you.
Wouldn't you be cranky if you were about to get indicted?
Great.
I'd likely will not be here, but she
Okay.
should be right.
Are we 9 a.m.?
Why don't we do 10 a.m., Jimmy?
10 a.m. on
Get
the
all the
26th.
record holders who want to be here.
10 a.m. on the 26th.
All right, and all the other motions are taken under advisement.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All rise for the court, please.
Mr. Clerk, whenever you have a minute.
You are muted. Goodbye.
No, I didn't mean to do that for Bill. I just meant boo, this fucking shit sucked. Oh no, Aiden. Don't be seen on camera talking to the Reeds. I think I just saw Bill slip Turtle Boy some money. Y'all see that? Whoa! He said, yeah, dude. Ethan just slipped him a fucking car key, dude. That was crazy.
You should go 4 hours. Yeah, before bring your camera and everything. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Aiden, meet me in the bathroom and I'll pull a Lexus out of my ass. It's yours. Bill loves Jackson, dude. Love that shit. All right, so that's it. So let's go to Tom. Let's check out and see what's going on with
Take a
I
red
don't
eye.
understand if there was a crime committed yesterday.
Yep.
In a public place.
Yep.
In a court.
Yep.
Which the defendant was already being charged with an assault and battery.
Yes.
Why wouldn't the Stoughton police prosecutor have had the
He was right.
legal right to say to him, come inside, sit him down, go up to into the judge's lobby.
Right, and say, hey, by the way,
we have a second offense. I think he should be remanded downstairs.
just happened. Now,
Just saying.
it just happened.
Thank
Yep.
you. Thank
Thank you, Peter Murphy.
Peter
Yeah,
Murphy's awesome.
yeah,
dude.
he's about right with that one. Totally agree. Totally agree. Good.
There we go. Let's go. Go. Yeah. Hey, David. Keep going, folks. So,
We can't read.
You don't want that.
Heads up, guys. Heads up. Keep it moving. No. Not fine. Let's go down. David, nothing today. No decisions today. What do you think on the? Since both sides won it, it seems to be logical.
I would
correct?
expect it would be granted. I don't want to speak for the judge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely her discretion, but I think it just makes eminent sense. And I think that given both sides really want it, leave it in the interest of justice, that the judge will likely allow it.
And on the sidebar conferences, what is the purpose of that?
So there were a number of legal decisions that were made at sidebar, as are made in every trial. And in preparation for the retrial, we want access to those arguments. They may apply to motions in limine, and we're happy doing it in a two-step process here, where it's just released to counsel, and then potentially after that, it could be released further to the public.
Any sort of expectation about how this trial might be different with Hank Brennan on the other side as before?
We're not concerned with who the opponent is. We're concerned with presenting our defense, which we believe is a very strong defense that will prevail.
Do you anticipate it's going
Love
to
it.
be a similar
It
defense
is.
to what you presented in trial one?
I don't have a comment on that. I will say that, trial number one, we did get an education, and hopefully we will be using that education to further our strategy.
Mr. Brennan said he expects fewer witnesses this time, substantially fewer witnesses. What do you think about that? Could this be a shorter trial?
Well, if he's going to call fewer witnesses, then I think it makes sense that it would be a shorter trial. We welcome that.
What do you think of Jackson's new beard?
Exactly.
Love it.
It ain't got no clip.
Thank you.
Hey, make sure to give Tom CPU and Boston Mike a like. Click on the link I just dropped and give it a like. Stop what you're doing
Sorry,
right
yeah.
now.
I
and
tried to
give
rush
it
it.
Give it a like, please.
I have everyone.
Special prosecutor.
So my knee feels a little better.
You okay from yesterday?
Yeah, just another day in the books, right?
I love Tom.
Here we go. There goes Miss Karen. See you soon, bud.
You going later?
Yeah, I'll catch up with you. Oh,
Tom said,
all right, Tommy, what do you want to do? You
my
want
coffee hit me in the face, dude.
log back on later? Yeah, I was gonna walk by. Bye, guys.
Fuck, dude.
Bye, guys. Tina, see ya. All right.
I love Tom.
I'm back here. All right.
I'm trying to get through here.
Should ask about the red eye.
I can't believe she fucking told him that, dude. You can't catch the red eye, Mr. Jackson. Like, lady.
Hey, you.
Hey, Tom.
What's up, sweetie? How you been?
Hey, it's
Good
Lorena.
jacket on.
I'm good.
Wow. So we learned what? What did we learn from all that, Mike?
A lot of what ifs, really.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of what ifs.
I don't understand. All this back and forth, Mike. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? For what?
Yep.
Now
Yep. She didn't make a ruling at all today. She's gonna let us know.
I'm gonna need like to understand. The problem is I'm not techie at all. So I'm gonna need to understand a little bit more. But the thing is I don't think that that's unreasonable. Like, I don't want new data to magically show up. I mean, what's funny is what's interesting is Guarino wasn't even mentioned in all of this, right? Guarino was the one in the first place who claimed in writing that he was unable to retrieve any data from Karen Reed's vehicle, right? He was unable to retrieve any data, but concluded that John O'Keefe was the victim of vehicular homicide. Because that makes sense. So Trooper Guarino does this, right? But it's funny to me. Yeah, no Paul, no Guarino, no Proctor. So I love this. And I love David Yannetti's response because it was beautiful. He was like, we welcome that. Less witnesses, shorter trial. It would make sense that it would be a shorter trial with less witnesses. And we welcome that. Absolutely. Of course. The prosecution having less witnesses to call up, and they failed with all of the witnesses that they had. They failed to present a case the last time around. And now this time around, they're going to call even less witnesses. They're going to exclude testimony from who knows how many of these witnesses, but including this, we know for sure, including the lead investigator Michael Proctor's testimony will be not. It won't even happen. We won't hear from him unless the defense calls him up, and that'll be interesting. Because if they call less witnesses, right? If the prosecution's case here is to call, if their strategy here is to call less witnesses, I feel like the defense, and this is just theory, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but I feel like it would benefit the defense to call more witnesses, right? Especially if they're going to approach this with another third-party culprit defense. If they're going with the third-party culprit defense the second time around, yeah, the Sally Port video. I love it. Thank you. The glare is my point. And you win handle of the day. You do. You win handle of the day. So, I mean, I love the idea. I love the idea of the defense calling Michael Proctor up. I love that. I wonder if they will. Or even if they can, but I feel like they can, right? Because what a move in theory would that be? What a hell of a move would that be if the prosecution is trying to prosecute, if the prosecution is trying to prosecute Karen Reed here, and they're supposed to present a case, and they can't call the lead investigator up. They won't call the lead investigator up. He's suspended. Can the defense call him up? Sit his ass on that stand and grill him? Because, I mean, that's got to look a certain way to the jury. You know what I mean? That's my point, is that's got to look a certain way to the jury. That the prosecution didn't even call up the lead investigator in this case, the case that they're trying to prosecute. I mean, wouldn't the lead investigator be one of the star witnesses? I mean, isn't that extremely impactful every time you've watched a trial where you see the lead investigator sitting up there looking very professional, and he's addressing the jury as he talks, and you know, every time he answers a question? That's not going to happen here. So imagine what that looks like if the defense calls him up to the jury. Imagine what that's going to look like to the jury. So I'm here for it. And what about fucking Hank Brennan, dude? That dude is unbelievable. Like, he's doing exactly what I expected him to do. He's trying to play misdirection here. This is going to be the Commonwealth's entire strategy. Misdirection, misdirection, misdirection. And they hired an independent expert. And as Sleuthy Goosey pointed out in the chat, he's not independent if he's hired. He just said in open court in a pretrial hearing that the lead prosecutor in this case, the special prosecutor, he says the expert, he said, I hired an independent expert. I hired an independent expert. No, Cherry. They're all hired by somebody. Everybody's got a fucking job. But take the Crash Daddies, for instance, right? Crash Daddies, ARCA guys, they were hired by the FBI, but they were just subpoenaed by the defense. You see what I'm saying? So that technically, in regards to this case, makes them independent experts. They are independent. But when you're actually hired directly by the Commonwealth, that's not independent. So he's lying when he says that that this person is an independent expert. They're not independent if the prosecution hired them. So now, yeah, this dude is something else, this Brennan dude. Yeah, he's there just to play a whole lot of misdirection. And the idea that it's a problem to have the defense's expert present to make sure they don't pull any dirty shit is perfectly reasonable. Considering everything we know about this case, considering everything Bev knows about this case, it's not unreasonable. And why do they have a problem with it? Sure. I mean, if he wants to fucking sit there, sure. If their expert wants to sit there and watch our expert work, cool. Why would he have a problem with that? Now, everybody that you saw in front of that courthouse is about to go to Michael Morrissey's office for a standout, which is fantastic. Resistant to Silence is going to be live. I'm going to share the link. They haven't gone live yet, but you're going to want to click on that I'm dropping the link in the chat. Give it a like for me. I would really appreciate it. These people are doing great things for this case. And so all of these beautiful people are going to go stand out and protest Michael Morrissey's office. And as they should. So today, nothing was actually decided other than dates, deadlines. So the dates that I heard, I think, were December 12th and 13th. I could be wrong, but next month. So it's not a waste of time, Darcy. Because I feel like people say this. You guys got to understand, like, these court hearings don't exist for our entertainment. You know what I mean? The idea here is to get justice, even though the only people that seem to be interested in justice is the defense, which is something that you never see. But these things have to, this is why it's called going through the motions, because motions are filed and they have to go through them. This is a hearing to go through those motions. They filed motions on the jury. The jury is still going to remain impounded. The identities of the jurors is going to remain impounded. I agree with that. I see no benefit at this point. I think things are still very sensitive, and I see absolutely no benefit to these jurors' identities being disclosed to the public, seeing as we already know what could take place. Plevin has already borderline threatened one of them. So, there's no reason for, you know what I mean? There's no good is going to come out of it. I mean, what's up, Shelby? Great job today, guys. You guys over there at Seeking Justice. Good job. We love you over there. Dude, Clubber got into... Yeah, it's gonna be fun after I end this. I got a lot of cleaning to do. Thank you, Marie. I appreciate it. What time is it? I mean, yeah, this thing is set to start. I mean, I just want to get an idea of what's going on here. And we're gonna hang out a little while. I'm gonna open the phone lines and everything. But I mean, what was up with Bev? You can't catch a red eye, Mr. Jackson. Lady, are you fucking kidding me right now? Did you just say that shit? You can't catch a red eye, Mr. Jackson. Lady. Fuck is wrong with you? I never heard that shit before in my life. Like, you can't just set another date. Like, what? Every other time I've ever heard these counsel try to agree on a date with the judge, that everybody just kind of finds a compromise. And it takes like a minute. It takes like a minute. It's nothing. And then this time she's like, you can't take a red eye, Mr. Jackson. Yeah, she totally like, good morning, Mr. Jackson. Good morning, Mr. Giannetti. Good morning, Miss Reed. All right, so yeah, there's no delay on the trial date. They're just trying to, and that would have been Judge Bev's justification for that red eye remark, is because she's trying to make sure everyone is ready by the set date. I get all that, but still, like, no, lady, I just told you that I can't make it for that day. And I'm just still waiting for this resistant to silence thing to start, but it's whatever. So yeah, fuck it. Hold on. All right, so the phone lines are open, and I'll take some calls. Hang out with you guys a little bit longer before I get on with the rest of my day. Yeah, like Bev clearly hates this defense. And I love Yannetti, man. Yannetti's just great. Diane G, thank you. The lady wanting the pillow sign. Yeah, that's funny. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Clara.
Dina.
Oh, I'm watching you right on the TV right now at Cheryl's house.
Oh, yeah? You're not at the standout?
No, we just got back. I was there.
No, what about the standout at Morrissey's office? Isn't that happening?
We're eating lunch and then we're going there.
Oh, okay. So, okay, yeah. I get. Well, you got to eat, of course.
Oh my God, Clara, listen. This morning, did you see about the fucking cops with throwing our signs on the ground?
No.
And then he went, oh my God, I was live streaming and the freaking fucking hardo grabbed all our signs, ripped them out of the freaking barriers, just threw them on the ground.
Why?
Because he didn't want them up there. He took Scott McGinnis's signs on a stick, threw those on the ground, and then he went for the American flag, and I went running.
Wow.
Oh my God, they set the tone this morning. It was so freaking bad, Clara.
Wow. So that's, I mean, so this is the behind the scenes stuff happening. So they're trying to crack down on the public perception as well as what's going on inside the courtroom, is what you're saying?
Oh my God, it was awful, Glera. It was awful. I couldn't even, they set the tone like of being dickheads. It was awful. I had to like brace myself because I almost like went off my rocker. Like I was so pissed off. But, you know, and then Bev in court setting the tone with, you know, like telling Alan Jackson, like, you can't take a red eye.
Yeah,
Like,
I was just talking about that.
oh my God. I came into Cheryl's house. I went to go pee. And then when I came into her kitchen, all of a sudden I just see your beautiful face up on her TV. I was screaming. I'm like, the glare is on. So I went running. They're all filming me running to the TV to see you.
That's funny.
Oh my God. You know what, Claire? I love you in a non-restraining order kind of way.
Well, we all love you too, Dina.
And we'll see you at Morrissey's office in a little while. I'll be live streaming from there too.
Okay.
We're gonna have some meatballs, and we love you. Free Karen Reed.
You guys brought meatballs?
Oh, we're having meatballs, homemade meatballs at Cheryl's house.
I love it.
They're
Wow.
mediocre meatballs. They're superior. They're superior meatballs.
Superior meatballs. I love it. All right. Enjoy those
Yeah.
meatballs.
We're having good balls today. We'll
Wow.
talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with? Nope. Oh, they're gone. They're gone. Gone. They're gone. So they're having meatballs outside Meatball Morrissey's office. Fantastic.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Will, it's Pennsylvania Dave.
Pennsylvania Dave. What's up, buddy?
Nothing much. Did I just hear Hank Brennan say that he wants Man Shannon to pull the data himself without a defense expert there?
Right. Yeah. You did hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you ever allow that if you were an attorney?
No, of course not. Like, I mean, that's if I were the judge, I'd be like, I don't see what's unreasonable about that. You know? Like,
I mean, how many times did they hide the ball? They've been doing it for what? Since the beginning of the trial?
right. And
now you're gonna
it's gonna be more hiding the ball this second time around.
I
Like
know it
they're,
is.
they're calling less witnesses. What do you think that means? That means we're bringing less of a case this time around? Like, that clearly tells me that the whole strategy here is just going to be more misdirection. Lally sucked at it, so okay, they're gonna bring in this Whitey Bulger defense attorney to come in here and dazzle the jury.
I
With
don't know.
distractions.
For some reason, this guy just needs the money. If I was a defense attorney, which he is, what did he say? Oh, the government? We're not even in the government. We're in the state. So he doesn't even know what he's talking about to begin with. I mean, come on. Let's be real here. This is not even funny.
Yeah,
if you were a defense attorney and they came to you and asked you to prosecute this case, what would you tell them, Will?
I mean, it depends. I don't know why. I don't know what his motive is here. I don't get it.
He needs the money. For some reason, this guy needs that $75,000.
But God, that's peanuts for what he's doing. And it's a career killer.
It's too late for him now. He laid his bed. Now he's got to lay in it.
Right. But
this is his choice to destroy his reputation, which he's already done with Mr. I don't know, gigabytes from gigahertz and megabytes from
gigabits. Yeah.
Which,
I don't know that shit either. I don't know that shit either. But
it's ridiculous. How many people have gone online and said this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about? But we want him to do this by himself. So we could say this is what we saw, and then we're going to send you guys the information. Come on. This is hell and high water.
Yeah, no, this is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so there's going to be
there's
going to be some delays here I mean, I would imagine that they're probably going to push the trial date back at some point, but they are working diligently to try to avoid that. But the thing is
I understand that.
every time there's a motion filed, that could cause a delay, you know? So
Yeah.
So you have these motions
Yeah,
that are
and he
being
said he-
filed, and that's the thing is Hank Brennan is new to the case, so he has to catch up. But it's crazy because it's like, all right, it's like you said, he signed up for this shit, so it's like
That's right.
They set this date, and he's taken this on, so he can only play that I'm new here bit for so long because it's like, well, the date's been set and you agreed to it. So it is what it is.
Well, he's
like,
a Boston,
be ready.
He's a Boston boy. He's a Boston boy, right?
Yeah. As far as I know, he sounds
all
like
right.
it.
And you don't think that he's been not following this for the last 18 months? Of course he has.
Right. He just told Judge Bev that he hadn't watched the whole trial, which is just like, well, why haven't you done that? Like,
and you know what? Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't.
But see, if I was him, no matter what the fuck I would be doing in my free time, I would be playing the trial in my car everywhere I'm going. If I'm at the gym, it's playing in my ears. I am going to be living and breathing this case in order to catch up to it if I'm expected to prosecute it effectively when the date comes, since there is a date set. So why in the shit, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't watched the whole trial. That would be the first thing you would think that he would have educated himself on. So, like,
well,
why isn't he just listening to the trial on his free time? You know, like,
First of all, I don't believe that. I do not believe it. I mean, I'm from Pennsylvania. I watched every single day of that trial.
Well, that's because you were invested in it, right? You were invested in it. He may not have been at the time. He may not have been at the time. But what I'm saying is, once he was hired, once he said, "Okay, yes, Mr. Michael Morrissey, shake on it, I'm in." Once that happens,
he could have went back and watched every YouTube replay because of
absolutely.
There's times, Will, I would come home at 6 o'clock at night, me and my wife.
I'd have been cranking.
I wouldn't go to bed. I wouldn't even go to bed because I would want to watch every single minute of what happened.
Yeah.
And I got nothing invested in this. I'm from Pennsylvania. You know, every time I go to a person in Pennsylvania and say, "Hey, you know anything about the Karen Reed trial?" No, what the hell's that? No one knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. I know because I know this is a straight frame job. That's all it is.
That's exactly what it is.
You're not going to tell me that she ran into this guy. He doesn't have a bruise except for dog bites on his arm and a crowbar across the back of the head. Or he fell and hit his head in the basement. It's not even right.
I'm not even going to pretend like this. I'm not going to give this new trial any respect at all. I'm not going to give it any validity at all moving forward talking about this, because we're talking about a trial that's going to happen and everybody's talking about it like, oh, well, this, and this. What I refuse to let go of is the reality that this should have never went to trial in the first place. And this is just an overkill of Morrissey just being stubborn and trying to get a win out of all of this. There is no logic behind even moving forward with this case, considering the lack of evidence against Karen Reed. So the fact, I refuse to validate this new trial in any way, shape, or form. Everything that Bev does is already tattooed with the fact that she made the decision to move forward with this trial in the first place. She's tattooed with the fact that she refuses to voir dire the jurors after they've come forward when she irresponsibly called a mistrial before giving them the proper instructions to call to specify which charges they were at an impasse on. This is 100%. All her. This is all her.
She did
So-
not do her job.
Exactly. So the fact that we're here
She
now,
is corrupt.
the fact that we're all here now because of those decisions means that every time I look at Bev now, I'm looking at a fucking dirty piece of shit sitting up there on the bench.
And she is a fucking dirty piece of shit. There's no
Clearly.
doubt about it. But it's not her. She had chances to dismiss this when Alan Jackson went up there and said, look, we want to dismiss this case. They haven't proved the prima facie case. They don't even have a 3D video of how he was hit. All they had was Trooper Paul, who can't go into Walmart anymore because they laugh at him. It's just the way it is. Now they got a new reconstruction accident specialist who's going to come in and say, yeah, he was hit by a car. What are you fucking thinking?
Wait, I got to address this comment here. Johnny X says, in all caps, because trolls always do that, why does Will only take calls from people who agree with him? Yeah, Johnny X, what I've got going on here is I've got a caller ID that tells me, it indicates Karen Reed supporter on the caller ID, and then I specify, I sift through all of the ones that say Karen Reed sucks on the caller ID, because that's what people have on their caller IDs. Instead of phone numbers, it says Karen Reed supporter or Karen Reed is guilty crew, right? So I just picked the ones that say Karen Reed supporters, just so you know. Fucking idiot. Like
Johnny X.
I just pick up.
Whole name?
I pick up the
Why
next
doesn't
call.
he give his whole name like I do?
I pick up the next call, and it just so happens to be somebody with fucking common sense, because you, Johnny X, idiots like you are in the minority, because everyone here knows Karen Reed is innocent. You dumb fuck.
Tell Johnny X he could kiss my ass.
Well, you just told him.
Yeah, well, Johnny
You
X,
can hear.
kiss my ass. You wouldn't be Johnny X if you had any balls, because you don't want to say your real name. My real name's right across the screen. I ain't got no problem with that. What are you, afraid? Little pussy. Johnny X. Johnny X. That's like fucking Jane Doe.
All right, I'm gonna take the next
Come
caller, man.
on.
Thanks for calling, dude.
Hey, I love you, brother. I'll talk to you.
You too, bud. Later.
Call from
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Will. My name is Kathy.
Hi,
I'm
Kathy.
a little nervous. Hi. I'm a little nervous. I've never called into a radio show or even made a comment on Twitter or any of that stuff, but I just couldn't let this go today. The dishonorable Judge Canoni.
Mm-hmm.
Did she really?
Cut out. I can't hear you. I hate when that happens too. Like, she just cut out. All right, taking the next one.
call from
You're on.
I'm sorry I lost you. I'm just going to leave it on speaker so I don't hang up with my cheek. I just can't believe that Judge Canoni told someone to take a red eye on Karen Reed's dime. Is she kidding? Is she? I mean, is this really happening? I've been glued to this thing since my sister introduced me to Turtle Boy. Almost right after this happened. I mean, I'm glued to it. I have no life left. But I just.
That's because it's so unreal. You know, you're like, I can't believe this is real life. So you're glued to it.
I am glued to it, like in real time. But I worked for the state for a long time, and I worked in the judiciary, and I can tell you that I know that this entire state is run on nepotism and favors, and this is why we've
That's
got
what
what
it
we've
sure
got.
looks like, doesn't it?
Absolutely, this is why we've got what we've got. I don't want to take up your whole day. I just wanted to say hello. I've been watching you religiously. I'm wicked grateful for the late nights because I'm
right
up
on.
late. Thank you so much. I love those.
Yeah, I'll do
I love
more.
those. Keep them
I'll do
coming.
more of them. I think people are starting to enjoy those.
Thank you. I think we've got a lot of insomniacs due to this case.
Yeah.
I know I'm up late tearing my hair out. And I don't know her. And I don't have a dog in the fight, but I just can't sit back and let this happen for one more minute. So thank you. Take your next caller. Okay.
Thank you,
God bless.
Kathy. Bye.
All right, Will. Bye.
Call from
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
This is Adam from Wisconsin.
Adam from Wisconsin. What's up, buddy?
Don't be hard on Johnny X. He's a apprentice right now for trolling, so
Yeah.
you gotta take it easy on him. He's learning his ways. He's a
Fuck.
young grasshopper.
Fuck Johnny X. Johnny X can kiss my Dominican dick.
Are you Dominican, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what's up. Anyways, what a fucking show today. What a fucking show. But last couple of days I'm
pretty eventful, right?
Work. Oh my God, that fucking cunt. I'm sorry, but Jesus Christ, you just can't stop. It's like right there, you just have to fucking just constantly be a bitch. Like, why? Get laid. Like, just please.
Who are we talking about?
The great and bad,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's
the great super twat.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
A super twat.
She's definitely got those suction cup rings on her bathtub, man. I'm trying to tell you. Definitely.
Oh yeah, and I think you pinpointed it right. Everything's all misdirection, and
That's all this shit is,
and the bullshit about all the information didn't get extracted from, the first pool or whatever. It's just a bunch of fucking bullshit, and not having another person there on the defense side to keep an eye to make sure everything's getting done right. If you want experts, which a lot of DAs or Commonwealth governments, they usually call the FBI like, hey, we need some help here. Can you help us out? Do this extraction or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, they step in to help out. Call the FBI then if you're so fucking sure.
Yeah, and now this is a new trial, so I'm wondering.
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering if they are going to. This is a new trial, so I'm wondering if they're going to. I mean, well, no, I know what Bev's going to do. I'm just curious if the defense is even going to bother to try to call the ARCA experts up again, or if they're going to try to include the evidence provided by the FBI.
Who makes that? Can the defense call anybody? I know you're not like a legal expert, but if the defense makes a list of people they're going to call, can that be denied by AMPF?
If the prosecution objects to it, yes.
Okay, and that's where the legal,
as I understand it, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know,
yeah.
but I think so. That's how I understand it to be.
Well, they should. And another thing too, I've been thinking about since I was working in the garage a lot lately. First trial, when Jackson was up there questioning Sabretooth Jen McCabe, and was talking about your Apple data health showed you going to your house, going up the stairs, going up to your room, so on and so forth, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she did not deny that at all. Not one bit, because they did the extraction on her damn phone.
Right.
And her Apple, whatever. So that means if that was on point because of the extraction, then that means John, rest in peace, data extracted from his phone has got to be correct.
Yeah.
Because her shit was correct. So that means his shit's got to be correct too.
Yeah. See,
and
Joe Flipperhead says that he 100% that ARCA will be called. But like, I know that they're going to try to. The question is, will the prosecution, will Brennan object to it, and will Bev deny them being? Now she'll do the same thing and say something to the effect of, oh, well, you just can't mention that they were hired by the FBI. But
yeah, definitely.
But why not?
She's under Morrissey's thumb yet.
Right.
I mean, everybody's under his thumb, even though
clearly what's going on.
The guy's getting fucking paid to be a DA and prosecute shit, and he can't even step foot in the courtroom because he's fucking useless. But everybody's under the thumb. So yeah, of course he's gonna say no.
He has no trial experience, as I understand it.
No. Yeah, and I get it, and it's whatever. And to all the fucking trolls out there, yeah, in order to get justice for John O'Keefe, we have to move Karen out of the way first in order to go after the real killers. It's just as simple as that. That's it. If everybody's following the evidence and logic, right? Following the evidence, there is so many irregular shit that's going on with it. In order to get to John O'Keefe and get him justice, we got to get Karen out of the way to get the real people that murdered him.
I agree.
It's just plain and simple. That's it.
I
No
agree.
ifs, no ands, no buts about it.
Yeah, we all agree.
And when you look at Karen's face, that is not a fucking killer. I'm sorry. I did my time overseas. I stared at killers in the fucking face. That is not a fucking killer.
Right. Yeah, I agree
No.
with you there.
And of course she's pissed. She's pissed because she's getting fucked. She didn't have time to mourn his death. She didn't have time. As soon as this shit went down, they started fucking her. And what kind of attitude are you going to have when somebody's trying to come after you like that?
Right.
You're going to have
Of
the
course.
shittiest fucking attitude in the world.
Of course.
And I just love how Jackson is so professional. Just fucking love it.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And
Just-
so's Yannetti, man. Yannetti was a star today.
I wish I can have patience like him and be professional at all times because
Agreed. All right, man.
I can't do that. Anyways, thank you very much. God bless you and have a good day.
You too, bud. Thanks a lot.
All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right. Phone lines are now closed. But
first people that has said yes, because I ask all the time on planes and everything else. Nobody's ever even heard about it. But this person said, absolutely, I've heard of it. And I bet we have different stances. I thought that was so funny because it was just weird that she said that. And I said, oh, what's your stance? She said, oh, Karen Reed didn't do it. Karen Reed didn't do it. I said, oh, okay. And I was just like I'm talking to you. Why do you think that? She just didn't do it. I know she didn't do it. Okay. I said, what about, for instance, the plastic pieces? She didn't do it, Jen, and you're never going to convince me otherwise. I'm like, okay, conversation over. My point is that I've really realized some people are so locked in, it's an impossibility for them to even discuss it or listen to any reason. And they base it
like, is that projection if I've ever heard that shit in my life? Like, she just said that shit out loud.
on, discuss it or listen to any reason. And
they're not willing to discuss it or listen to any reason. Really? Idiot.
And they base it on nothing. She couldn't name one thing.
Yeah.
Nothing. But
How did
that's
she know? Did she know you were FBI, or how did she know that you had a
she's
different
known
opinion?
me forever. Yeah.
Like, this is the person that as soon as you make sense on Twitter countering one of her stupid tweets, she blocks you. This is the same person saying this.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So maybe she thought because I'm law enforcement, I would be predisposed thinking that. But and maybe she's even watched me before on TV. I don't know. But I thought that it was just interesting out of somebody that I consider an intelligent young woman that she has absolutely no reason, but she's not going to move on it.
Yeah. Once it starts to touch on emotion, it's really hard to root that out. And as you say, I'm a bricks and mortar guy, so I really do just try to look at the evidence, and it's logic, to me. And I'm not on anybody's side. I know that most police officers are just honest people doing their work, but I know that corruption exists. So I don't come into it from any particular bias or point of view on that. There's confirmation bias once you make a decision on how you think. So that's what I would have to watch for myself, is that it took me months to make a decision, but once I did, now I'd be shocked. But does that mean I'm closed to the idea? You'd have to show me some pretty compelling evidence that John went in the house or whatever. And that's it.
You
To
mean
this
like
point,
the Apple
evidence
Health
against
data?
Karen is so compelling that, as I've said, and I mean it, I would stop doing YouTube 100% if it turns out there was a conspiracy, just because I believe I'm in the matrix now, and my whole understanding of logic and reality is so upended that I don't even, I expect to look out the window and see it raining beer. I don't know what's going to happen next, if because the evidence is so
And you, oh, sorry, Kate.
Oh my God, I don't care.
I was just going to give you two accolades here. I mean, you're a writer, Kevin. To be a writer, you have to be a researcher, period, end of story. Kate, you run a very successful, what I consider to be a very successful YouTube platform.
Is it though?
To do that, you have to be a researcher. And that's why I appreciate both of your views, and the fact that you live there in that area, it means.
Listen, first of all, the dude has 200 people watching him right now. The only reason he has that many is because Krusty Panties is on there with him. And it's not even because of you. That's what's really funny. And this is a guy who's regularly on Court TV. And nobody still gives a shit about this guy. Like, he does not have a successful YouTube channel. It is not successful at all. And I could tell you right now, I mean, let's just be honest, that, in order to have a successful YouTube channel, you don't have to do any research at all. I don't do any research whatsoever. None. I do it here. I go, hold on, folks. Let's look into this together. That's what I do. And then we discuss it. Like, Plevin does not have a successful YouTube channel. Now, here's the thing about Plevin. Plevin is an interesting guy. Not really. But this little aspect is interesting. I how do I word this? Let me put it like this. Okay, so many of you here, you guys who call yourselves turtle writers, many of you refer to Turtle Boy as daddy. I don't expect anybody to call me daddy except for Plevin. Plevin, you can call me daddy. You know why you could call me daddy? Because I gave you a name. Nobody even calls you by your real name anymore. That's not your real name anymore. Your real name now is Plevin. As far as YouTube is concerned, as far as anything, Twitter doesn't fucking matter. Your name is Plevin, and I gave you that name. So you can call me daddy from now on because I named you.
Means so much to you all. And so I appreciate people like you that research and do their homework and have a take. It's the people that speak from strictly emotion that is difficult for me personally to relate to.
The YouTube platform, let me just real quick, wait. The YouTube platform is only part of Kate's operation. She really actually watched the turtle people. You understand, Kate really runs the whole state. But go ahead.
Yeah. I'm in charge. I might have started World War II. I don't remember. But I think there's a process that you have to go through with these things. And I've kind of, in my internet tourism, kind of, sampled a lot of different sort of conspiracy or fringe things. And the first thing you always have to really look at is this plausible? Human beings are there's always a motivation. There's always a motive, right? People don't usually do things just because, particularly when it comes to conspiracies and things like that. If I can't find a reasonable and plausible motive for some sort of nefarious conspiracy or something, we're already off to a rough start, and that just never came here.
Hey, stupid. The motive is in text messages, and the only motives, by the way, are in text messages between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed. And it's also documented on security footage from the Waterfall Bar and Grill, where Higgins was clearly motioning in an aggressive manner towards John O'Keefe just before everyone left, literally minutes before he is thought to have been killed. And Chris Albert was holding him back practically. And yet Chris Albert seems to have he has his grubby, dirty little fingers in every single thing around this case. It's very interesting. Like, there's your motive, but you're choosing to ignore it. There's no motive coming from Karen Reed. This has all been established.
Shut up!
I think the idea that they assaulted this guy and then decided that it would be best to turn that assault into a murder it defies all common sense.
Thank you, Amy in Boston.
What does anybody get out of this? You can't really answer that from the free Karen Reed perspective. I can tell you what Karen Reed gets out of lying about it. You know, her motivation is much more clear. Who has more to gain, right? And like, you know, so a lot of people didn't start there with this, though. They just immediately said, oh, police are bad, corruption, yes. I mean, all corruption that you see has a motive. It has a payout in the end. That's why most corruption is financial, right? You don't have a lot of...
What the fuck are you talking about? Now, do I believe that there's money to be lost here somewhere by Brian Albert being exposed for his involvement in John O'Keefe's death, for Chris Albert for in helping cover it up, for Jen McCabe? Sure. Now, I think most everybody, it's a fear thing. I think people who the people who are most likely going to lose out financially out of this is most likely going to be Brian Albert and Chris Albert. Those are the two people that I'm suspecting are going to lose out money-wise. Because I'm telling you that D&E Pizza does not generate enough business for him to be living the way that he does. There's just no way. Like, I haven't done it in a while, but I might do it again just for fun. Not today, but go over the Google reviews from D&E Pizza. Like, I mean, there's no way that you're going to tell me that this dude is hanging out outside with a bunch of dipshit fucking idiots outside of his place of business. He's going to have his star #1 driver wearing dirty clothes, chain smoking cigarettes, showing up, smelling like shit, and handing people their food, and your business is going to be flourishing. There's no way. It's not possible. And the fact that he has direct contact with Michael Morrissey's office says a lot too. So, I mean, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Because D&E Pizza sure as hell looks like a duck. Sorry, excuse me.
A lot of murders, but I mean, things like money, sex, you know, power, influence, that's usually where corruption starts and where any sort of malfeasance begins. And none of that can be gained through this. Nobody financially benefited from John O'Keefe's death. I don't feel like there's enough compelling evidence of any sort of real romantic rivalry between him and Brian Higgins for that to be.
How do you know that nobody gained financially from John O'Keefe's death? How do you know that? Now, I'm not saying that somebody did. I'm not even implying that someone did. What I'm saying is, how the fuck do you know that nobody gained financially from John O'Keefe's death? Have you seen everybody's financial records? Have you combed through everybody's bank statements? I mean, how the fuck could you sit up there and say definitively that nobody gained financially from John O'Keefe's death? You don't know that. You don't know that.
Very compelling or plausible. Certainly, if that was the case, Brian Higgins did a really good job of hiding it. Brian Higgins didn't immediately try to move in on Karen after John's death, so that kind of indicates that probably was not a motive. Nobody gained any.
That's the stupidest fucking thing I have ever heard. Like, nobody, dude.
Immediately try to move in on Karen after John's death, so didn't immediately. Brian Higgins did a really good job of hiding it. Brian Higgins didn't immediately try to move in on Karen after John's death, so that kind of indicates that probably was not a motive. Nobody gained any sort of influence or further power. You know, John O'Keefe also didn't have any information on anyone they needed to go away. There was nothing that. So
that's not. So after John O'Keefe's death, you're saying Brian Higgins didn't have a motive because he didn't go after Karen Reed after John O'Keefe's death. So you're telling me that a federal agent, an ATF, a federal agent, after, let's just say hypothetically, he killed John O'Keefe. Hypothetically, I'm not saying he did. I'm saying hypothetically, let's say that he killed John O'Keefe. He's automatically, if he's trying to get away with it, what he's going to do is try to date the victim's girlfriend? Yeah, I don't think so. Because what she's overlooking is really interesting, because if you remember, the morning of John's death, Karen texted Brian Higgins and said, John's dead. Okay? No response back. None whatsoever. So let's look at the timeline of events. Brian Higgins is texting secretly with Karen Reed. It gets to a point to where John O'Keefe finds out that there's something happening. He asks Karen Reed at one point if they hooked up. So John O'Keefe knows that there's something between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed. He knows this by the time that they're at the Waterfall Bar and Grill on January 28th, 2022. He knows this. He's trying to text her. She's not responding. She's ignoring him. Right? Or she's not even looking at her phone. She doesn't even know that he texted her. She's there hanging out with her boyfriend. Right? She doesn't even know that he's texting her. And maybe she looks at her phone and sees the text from Brian Higgins, opens it up, and says, okay, John's dead. Hello, and then John's dead. Kind of as a response, like, yeah, listen, I got more important things going on right now. I've ghosted you. I haven't responded to any of your texts. And now I'm letting you know John's dead. That's it. And what does Brian Higgins do at this point? After his last text being, hey, what the fuck? Why aren't you answering me? Clearly a little bit upset about being ghosted. He gets the text from her saying John's dead, and he doesn't answer her back. There's no, hey, oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh my God, what happened? It's not a little suspicious that he doesn't even respond to a text that says that John's dead? A guy that he called his friend? Not even a response? After he's already been showing that he's upset about being ghosted, she sends a text saying John's dead, and then he ghosts her the morning that John is killed, the morning that John is declared dead. That's not suspicious? That's not weird? People are idiots. American Bully Lover. Clubber is a bully. That's why he is so sweet, docile, and smart. And Will isn't bad either. Thank you, American Bully Lover. Well, he's not. Yeah. He is. Sorry about that. Yes, he's 50%. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
There's really no motivation to dispose of this man, like right off the rip. And as far as animosity goes, crimes of passion, Karen Reed herself has kind of shot that down through her interviews. Nobody
and I love how they're clearly avoiding the fact that Higgins went to a military base and destroyed his phone, got rid of his phone after he was ordered to preserve it for evidence. I find that real interesting that that a federal agent would do that. But he has nothing to hide. No.
Like John, never met anyone who didn't like him. He was the patron saint of Canton, as she called him. There's just not the motivation there. I mean, Karen Reed, on the other hand, certainly wants to avoid jail or prison time and definitely wants to maintain her public image and her reputation. And I mean, we know that again, because especially some of these new texts that are coming out between Aiden Carney and some of his people, even Aiden Carney.
It's real simple. And of course it comes back to Turtle Boy, but it's real simple. What Karen Reed cares about is the public support, is because she is depending on it now. She's depending on the public knowing the truth, because she's depending on the public support at this point. I mean, she's $5 million in debt at this point. And she's not outright asking anybody for it. She's not. But the fact of the matter is yes, it matters. Her image to the public matters. But what's interesting is this is what I find very genuine about Karen Reed. This is one of the things that make me believe her, is the fact that she is very much like, hey, I'm innocent. And fuck how I look to anybody about it. Like, if you don't like the way I carry myself, too fucking bad. I'm sick of this shit. I'm the one being railroaded here, and I got to sit here and be all, I got to smile and or act this way or act that way so that nobody thinks that I'm lying. Fuck all that. I have the truth on my side, so I'm not going to sit up here and put up a fucking act. The way she sees it is, I'm $5 million in debt. $5 million fucking dollars in debt. And I'm doing the best I can. So I'm grateful to the public for helping me, but I'll be goddamned if I'm going to mislead them. I'll be goddamned if I'm going to try to sell this. Because I don't need to sell this. The truth is selling it for me. So I'm going to continue to make sure that the public knows the truth. And then they can make up their own mind. And I'll just be grateful for whatever comes based on that truth. That is not the indication of somebody who is nefarious. That is not an indication of someone who has ulterior motives. That is not somebody who is grifting to get donations. That's somebody who's just like, dude, this is the way it is, and it fucking sucks. And if you believe in me, then all donations are appreciated. But I'm not going to sit here and fucking put on some song and dance to try to promote it. But she absolutely is depending on us. Make no mistake about that. Like, her reputation's already fucked. Like, her professional reputation, it's already fucked. This is bad for any business. Like, she can't go to a job right now. Can you imagine that? She can't just go to a job. She can't just live her life in the meantime. Her life is absolutely on hold right now. And she is forever going to be tattooed as the person who may or may not have killed her boyfriend with her SUV. No matter what happens, whether she goes to prison or whether she goes free, she is always going to be tattooed with the woman who may or may not have killed her police officer boyfriend with her vehicle. Thank you, Amy in Boston. You can never unring a bell. Right, exactly. That bell has been rung. That bell has been rung. So she's not worried about her reputation. Her reputation's already fucked. At this point, she's in full self-preservation mode as far as like her freedom goes. She's in full self-preservation mode in the sense that she's defending herself in court against a corrupt system, and she's also being sued by the family of the victim. This is crazy. So, I mean, and yet she's like, you know what? Fuck this, man. I'm not going to sit here and put on this act. They're attacking me. Fuck the O'Keefes. They're attacking me. And I'm the only one fighting for justice for them.
Barney admits that, reputation is very important. Public image is very important to Karen Read. Being labeled as a murderer is not great for your reputation, as I'm sure they are all acutely aware, because that's part of the attacks they're doing on other people. So I think that if more people had started sort of with a common sense perspective from the beginning, rather than just giving into their emotions about police and the government and sort of, belief in conspiracy and corruption, we'd be in a very different spot right now. Because I mean, if I'm missing the motive, somebody let me know, but I don't see it there.
Jen, quick question. This is just building off what Kate was saying too. She's talking about not finding motive. So one of the things that I had as a general observation, so as an amateur, right, we want to look at these cases. You're looking for not just for any theory what one particular person is going to do, whether it's a cover up or a criminal.
Okay, so you see what she's trying to do. This is why I say that she's manipulative, but she's only smart enough to manipulate stupid people. Kate Peter is only smart enough to manipulate stupid people. Okay? And she's still talking as though none of us are saying, hey, we absolutely support the police. We just don't support dirty cops. And she's saying the government, the government, the government. Nobody here is shouting government conspiracy theories. I mean, in a way we are. There's a local government problem here. But nobody is sitting here going, oh my God, I mean, when I see people in my chat, I blow them off who are like, oh yeah, the deep state, and then the fucking, all that tinfoil hat bullshit. I don't get into all that. I look at the evidence of what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the prosecution of this case. I'm seeing the Commonwealth of Massachusetts not having a case, failing to prove their case. And I see Judge Bev blocking for the prosecution. I see Judge Bev opening up little doors for the prosecution to go through and then blocking the ones for the defense. I'm seeing this happen consistently. I've been watching it happen for a year, over a year. And now she's about to do it again. This is going to go to trial a second time. So yes, there's corruption here. Now, I'm not accusing Maura Healey of corruption. A lot of people do, but I'm not accusing her of corruption because I don't know what her involvement in all this is. I don't know. I'm not getting into all that. All of us who are staying on task are not getting into all that. All of us who are staying on task are looking at what has been presented publicly in regards to this case and what looks shady. Everything about Michael Morrissey looks fucking shady. Everything about Judge Bev and the way that she's conducted herself in this case looks fucking shady. That's it. Nobody here's going, right, exactly. Not, yeah, no, nobody here is talking about George Soros, bro. Like, we make fun of those guys here.
You look at it, means and motive, right? That's always the big question. But for me, what I think people should be looking for is also, it's not about motive, it's about sufficient motive. So I wondered if you guys had something similar to that in the FBI. So just for an example, like say Michael Proctor. Does Michael Proctor have the motive to fix a speeding ticket for Chris Albert? Maybe. But does he have sufficient motive to plant evidence 15 hours after the crime in a way that's he's very unlikely to get away with? So it's super high risky and the price is incredibly heavy that he would pay if he's caught. Does he have sufficient motive to want to do that? Is that something you guys go over at the FBI at all or have an expression for it? Or
Well, motive is something that we're always going to look at, even though we don't have to prove it. We're always going to look at it because it helps us drive our focus.
This is a person with no investigative experience saying this, by the way.
When somebody, it's a complete stranger and there's no particular motive other than say a sexual appetite. Those are more difficult to weed out who's responsible. But
dude, she's acting like motive isn't even really, it's something that's helpful, dude. No, like technically she's right. You don't have to prove motive, and it is helpful in court, sure. But it's definitely a point in an investigation that they go for. They look for motive. They find the suspect. This is how they narrow down suspects. I'm not even an experienced investigator, and I can fucking tell you this. And I guarantee you that any experienced investigator that's in my chat will agree with me. That's how you narrow down the suspects. Establish which one of the suspects has the most fucking motive, you dummy. That's what you do. Sit here and, motive, no, dude. Like even Plevin and Krusty Panties are actually correct in the sense of how much motive matters in a case, in narrowing down a suspect. Of course, you have to establish motive, or at least try to establish motive. You look for motive. And for her to blow it off like, motive's helpful. No, dude. Maybe not. Maybe you don't have to prove motive in a court of law, but you're going to use motive to try to narrow down who your suspects are. Why the fuck wouldn't you do that? That's the stupidest thing that anybody would overlook. The fuck are you talking about? And she's FBI? Come on.
Your question and point. I mean, we go to Quantico for hours to study certainly motive and why people are motivated, what we need to be looking at. And I like how you termed it sufficient motive, because in this case, you say sufficient motive, there's no motive.
Let's see those hands, Plevin. What are you doing? I want to see those hands, Plevin.
There's no motive for Michael Proctor or any of these other people to cover up this. What people want to say is, no, they want to cover it up because they don't want their buddies Higgins and Brian Albert to go down for the murder they committed. But why that is so ridiculous is the nexus between them. And as you would say, are you going?
It's interesting how she just worded that. Hold on. Now, keep in mind that Quattendorfer is clearly in direct contact with the McAlberts. We know this. This has been established.
Want to cover it up because they don't want cover up for Michael Proctor or any of these other people to cover up this. What people want to say is, no, they want to cover it up because they don't want their buddies Higgins and Brian Albert to go down for the murder they committed.
Why did she specify Higgins and Brian Albert in that statement? When there was 12, 13 people in the house? I don't even know anymore. Why did she narrow it down specifically to Brian Higgins and Brian Albert?
Committed. But why that is so ridiculous is the nexus.
Because I never specified specifically or specifically accused Brian and Brian Higgins of this. I never did that. Most people are saying it's Colin Albert. So why is Jennifer confident? Why did she name specifically Brian Albert and Brian Higgins? I'm just asking the question, could that have been a Freudian slip?
Between them, and as you would say, are you going to hang yourself up to dry and put your life, your livelihood, you're going to go to prison for decades if you really did that to cover up a murder like we're seeing with Farwell, probably? No. So yes, we study that, and no, it doesn't make any sense in this.
Okay, you guys ready to break for lunch? Call it a day. It was great to have the team back, though. It's good to be with you guys again. Great analysis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we'll try to set somebody will cover the 26th hearing. I will either have somebody covered for us here, or we'll let you know, people know where to find it. I'll try to get Kate and Jen back together somewhere, even though I won't be there. Maybe on Kate's channel.
Yeah, I can do it. Can I say one last thing before we go?
Of course. Yeah.
If you guys aren't listening to the Break the Case podcast, what are you doing with your life? You should do that, is what I think. I think that Jennifer's doing excellent work. I really enjoyed the retired judge we had from Massachusetts today to discuss this case.
Yeah, that's enough of that. Go away. Let's see here. What? Okay. There's actually a House hearing right now on concerns about UFOs. I'm actually kind of interested in that. That's interesting. But I'm trying to find like okay, so still no. All right. Okay, so 71 minutes. So yeah, I'm not going to stick around that long. Johnny is a UFO. Yeah, Johnny X is a cunt.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Thank you, Meatball's burner phone. What a brain trust. I don't know what that means, but the UFOs are just visiting the zoo. Oh, listen. I appreciate I get that people want me to stay streaming live. Maybe I'll do another one this evening. I'm not sure. I know Turtle Boy's going to go over everything, go over this hearing tonight because he canceled his usual live yesterday to reschedule it for today to go over this hearing. So sometime before that, if I can, I will. Not sure. But I have stuff I got to do today. But yeah, I mean, people, it's been 3 hours and 15 minutes, folks. And Debbie, thank you for the Venmo. Appreciate it. Thank you for the laughs. You have the best giggle ever for the entertaining and informative podcast and for always calling out the losers. We love you. Thank you so much, Debbie Kruger. Appreciate it. All right. So yeah, I am going to go ahead and wrap this up, folks. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I had a great time. So hopefully this trial commences when it's supposed to commence. I'm definitely not canceling out the likelihood, not just the possibility, but the likelihood that this will get pushed. Even though I do see a strong effort from all parties trying to avoid that from happening. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Please hit the like if you haven't already. It would mean the world to me. Really helps me out. And thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoy the channel moving forward. I'm glad that all of you who have been subscribed, I'm very grateful to all you guys, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the channel, and I hope that you continue to do so. And thank you guys for all of the support. You guys are fantastic. I am so grateful to you guys. It really means the world to me. Thank you guys to all my amazing callers who called in. Thank you guys. All of the mods, you guys are absolutely fantastic. And there you go. Yes, Debbie Kruger, appreciate it. Guys, you are beautiful. And I love you very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.